Back on April 7th, Mark Pope in Kentucky got a big commitment from Alabama's Mouhamed Dioubate. Big Mo chose the Cats over the likes of Louisville, Michigan, Mississippi State, North Carolina, NC State, Oklahoma State, Providence, Vanderbilt, Villanova, and many others. The 6'7", 215-pound power forward averaged 7.2 points, 5.9 rebounds, and 1.1 assists per game while shooting 61.7% from the field, 46.2% from three, and 60.9% at the line. He scored in double figures 13 times last season, including 4 times combined in the NCAA and SEC tournament. As he usually does, Brandon Ramsey was going through a lot of film. Brandon says it's another signing Kentucky fans should be excited for.
Mouhamed Dioubate brings a whole different level of athleticism, strength, physicality, rebounding, and defensive toughness to the Kentucky Wildcats. And those are all areas, quite frankly, where Kentucky wanted and needed to improve from 2024-2025 to 2025-2026. And Mouhamed Dioubate from Alabama checks all of those boxes. 6'7" lefty from Alabama, an outstanding rebounder. He's going to completely change Kentucky on the offensive glass. Kentucky finished, I believe, 229th via KenPom in offensive rebounding percentage this past season. However, Dioubate was one of the best individual offensive rebounders in the Southeastern Conference. He also helps, even as a 6'7" kind of hybrid forward, he also helps you with rim protection. 3.8% block rate last year, and his Hakeem percentage, block plus steal rate, was 6.9%, which would have been second on last year's team, behind only Amari Williams. At evanmedia.com, he was rated as the Crimson Tide's second best defender. This is a guy that locked up Otega Oweh a couple of times this past season, that almost regardless of position, you can throw him on the opponent's best player. He's going to do a darn good job while also blocking shots, creating some havoc in the passing lanes.
As we mentioned earlier, he shoots it pretty well from three, albeit low volume. Brandon says that's a part of his game that defenders are going to have to respect.
He did make 46.3% of his threes. Now, it was on very low volume, 12 of 16, but he did make, I believe, 4 of his 5 3-point attempts in the NCAA tournament. And when you're at Alabama, you have that green light. And I think that if Kentucky wants to be serious about shooting 30-plus threes per game, like we heard a lot about this past season, you probably have to let Dioubate shoot some threes, especially early on in practice and early on in the games. Let's see if he can shoot a good percentage on a little bit higher volume. But regardless of that, what he's going to bring to the table, he's elite in transition. Obviously, something that Alabama is the fastest-paced team in college basketball in transition. He's a guy that you can throw it ahead to as he's kind of running up the sidelines. He can drive it right. He can drive it left. He's very fluid with the ball for his size. I said on Twitter, I think he's a guy that handles the ball like a guard or a wing, but then he finishes like a forward because he's so big and strong. He's a guy that can turn some drives into post moves. He can even just post up. He's really good on the roll. He can kind of slip out into a short roll and make some plays kind of from that high post, top of the key area.
This is a guy that should fit really well into Pope's system, but of course, there are some things that Brandon Ramsey would like to see improved.
I think that if you just look at the numbers, obviously they don't stand it out. He averaged 7.2 points per game last season. Not an elite 3-point shooter, not exactly going to space the floor in that manner. But in Kentucky's offense, not all 5 guys have to be that. He's also an excellent screener, which obviously fits very well in Coach Pope's offense. And then he's also an excellent cutter. So those two strengths will really flourish in Coach Pope's offensive system to do so. I think it's a perfect fit both offensively and then especially defensively for this Kentucky team that wanted to get better in some areas, and with the rebounding, with the toughness, with the defense, with the athleticism and strength and size, Mouhamed Dioubate checks all those boxes, and I think it's yet another really good piece for Coach Pope to add.
This Kentucky basketball roster is shaping up to be one of the best we've seen in years. For more on that, be sure to go to KentuckySportsRadio.com and do me a big favor. We're trying to get to 50,000 subscribers. If you can just please hit that subscribe button. Let's get there in the next couple of months. That would be awesome. We're trying to get there before football season, so let's get there even earlier than that. As today is Monday, April 21st, I bet we got some new players that are getting ready to announce their commitments to Kentucky or announce they're returning to Kentucky very soon, so be on the lookout for that. We will see you then.